The soldier's code staff Sergeant Daniyal Vance felt the scorching weight of the desert lift from his shoulders as he stepped off the transport plane. After a grueling, endless 14-month deployment, he was finally home, granted 7 precious days of approved leave. His uniform, his skin of war, was packed away. Today, he wore the simple, vulnerable camouflage of a civilian, a blue hoodie and jeans. He wasn't a staff sergeant. He was just a husband and a father rushing toward his family. His current objective was not a hostile compound, but the local downtown bakery. He emerged victorious, holding a chocolate birthday cake, his daughter Maya's favorite, and a towering stack of brightly wrapped gifts, one for each child, one for his wife, Sarah. The weight in his hands was not ballistic armor, but pure, potent anticipation. He moved quickly through the busy district, only 3 blocks from his street, lost in the vision of Sarah's welcoming smile. Then the world tilted sideways. A figure, moving fast and erratically, smashed directly into him. There was a jarring collision, followed by the sickening sound of cardboard and gifts hitting the pavement, climaxing with the wet splat of the chocolate cake. "Watch where you're going, idiot! You blind? Get out of my way." The man known as Razor John didn't apologize. His voice was aggressive, sharp with immediate defensiveness. Daniyal, shaken but still suppressing his immediate military reflex, tried to stay calm. "Hey, my mistake, I didn't see you, but you walked right into me. Look at the cake." John didn't spare a glance at the ruin. He was a man whose very posture bristled with contained violence, defined by a cheap, aggressive street code that saw apology as weakness. He stared at Daniyal with contempt. "You think you're important? You think that garbage on the ground means anything? You just messed up my call. Pick up your own mess, chump." "Listen," Daniyal said, his voice tightening with a struggle for control. "I just got back. That was for my kids. I don't want trouble, just apologize and let's both move on." Daniyal's measured tone, his effort to apply reason to chaos, only inflamed John. For Razor John, respect and order were things to be crushed underfoot. He saw the kindness in Daniyal's eyes and took it as an invitation to dominate. "Back from what? A vacation? You look soft. Real soft." A mocking laugh followed, joined instantly by 3 other voices. Daniyal realized John wasn't alone. 3 more figures emerged, and the bustling street quickly cleared, creating a small, dangerous arena around them. "Look at the loser. Crying over a sponge cake," one of them snickered. "We teach lessons around here," John announced. "Don't walk fast unless you're running from us." The first blow landed, a cheap shot to the ribs, before Daniyal could fully compute the situation. He was trained for combat, a lethal weapon, yet he hesitated. He was in civilian clothes, surrounded, and acutely aware that using his specialized skills would unleash massive legal repercussions. His professional self urged him to disable the threat. His civilian self pleaded to restrain, survive, and protect his family's peace. The beating was quick, efficient, and deeply humiliating. It was a chaotic flurry of painful blows. John stood back, relishing the sight of a man brought to his knees amidst the destruction of his family's gifts. "Tell your wife you got tripped. Tell your kids the dog ate the presents," John shouted, laughing. The sounds of the attack ceased abruptly. Triumphant, mocking laughter faded as the group retreated into the crowd. Daniyal was left spitting blood, clutching his broken ribs, kneeling amidst torn paper and smeared chocolate. His uniform was miles away, but his code was screaming louder than the pain. He was not just hurt. He was violated. They hadn't just stolen his peace. They had destroyed his promise to his children. He didn't go home. He couldn't face Sarah and the children bruised and broken. He staggered to his car, drove past his street, and kept going straight back to the regional joint base. He arrived like a ghost, a specter of violence in a place of order. Sergeant Major Rex, voice granite solid, found him stumbling inside the quiet, professional building. "Vance, what the hell? You're on leave. What happened to you?" "Sergeant Major, request to terminate leave effective immediately. Emergency duty request, sir." Daniyal's voice was raw, pushing past the pain. Rex didn't ask how Daniyal got the bruises. He saw the cold, controlled fury in his eyes, the kind of fury that only military discipline could harness. He saw a man who had been desecrated. "Vance, you are covered in civilian trauma. What kind of emergency duty is this?" Rex sighed, rubbing his temples. "Sir, I was attacked. By a group. Unprovoked. They destroyed my personal property, gifts for my family, Daniyal explained, his voice clipped and precise. But that's not the emergency. They operate in a public area, intimidating civilians, damaging the integrity of the community we swore to protect. I am requesting authorization to work with local law enforcement to neutralize a persistent threat to public safety. Off the books, under my authority as a non-commissioned officer, coordinating intelligence and response. Rex, a veteran who understood the difference between revenge and justice, saw a code demanding to be channeled through the system. Permission granted, Sergeant, but this is strictly intel and support. You wear the uniform, you follow the manual. You use zero force unless authorized by police command, understood? Understood, Sergeant Major, Daniyal saluted. The sound of a steel locker slamming shut signaled the end of the victim and the return of the soldier. Daniyal traded the blood-stained hoodie for his operational uniform. The change was physical and psychological. He was no longer a civilian victim. He was a highly trained asset. His mission was simple: gather the intelligence necessary to dismantle Razor John's operation legally and completely. For the next 2 days, Daniyal became a shadow. Working out of a temporary off-site intelligence hub, he linked up with Detective Miller, a tired but sharp local officer. Razor John. We know him, Miller said. He's small-time, but he's corrosive. He doesn't steal cars. He steals self-respect. We're too understaffed to dedicate a full team to him. Why is this personal, Sergeant? He represents chaos, Detective. I represent order, Daniyal replied, the words a creed. The attack was unprovoked. He's a menace. I need to know his pattern, his weak spots. Daniyal's reconnaissance was meticulous. He used his training to establish John's predictable pattern. The gang always gathered at the same abandoned lot at 9 p.m. to count their meager earnings and solidify their dominance. Their arrogance was their vulnerability. John had a specific, predictable route home afterward, through a poorly lit alley behind the old cannery. So we know where they are. We can roll a patrol car through. Disperse them, Miller suggested. No, that's what they expect. It's a temporary fix, Daniyal countered. I need John off the street permanently. We need a confrontation, but one where the police are present, in position, and where John, on his own, escalates the situation beyond petty assault. We need to catch him in a felony. Daniyal developed a plan as precise as a field maneuver. The issue, he knew, was John's ego. He beat me in civilian clothes. If he sees me again in uniform, the rage and the need to prove dominance will be irresistible to him. You want to use yourself as bait, Sergeant? That's reckless, Miller argued. Daniyal stood straighter, his posture unwavering. I am not reckless. I am controlled. John beat a man on leave. He did not beat a soldier in the line of duty. Tonight, he meets the latter. The final piece of intel confirmed John's crew was expecting a shipment of stolen goods, cheap electronics they would fence. This was the felony charge they needed. He made one final difficult conversation. He called Sarah. Honey, I'm sorry. I won't make it home tonight. There was an unexpected recall. But I'm close. I'm doing something important. Something that will make our community safer. I'll explain everything tomorrow. Tell Maya I'll bake her a cake twice as big. Sarah's voice was distant, concerned. Daniyal, you sound different. Be safe. Always come home to us. I will, Sarah, I promise. 45. The air hung cold and damp in the abandoned cannery alley. Dark, wet, and silent, except for the distant hum of the city. Detective Miller and 2 undercover officers were positioned in a delivery van 50 yards down the street, waiting for the signal. Daniyal stood exactly where he predicted John would pass. He wore his full, impeccably clean U.S. Army uniform. His presence was a stark contrast to the decay of the alley, a beacon of order in the grime. He was armed only with his disciplined posture and a 2-way radio linked to Miller. I have visual confirmation. 1 vehicle, 3 subjects. John is driving. Stand by, he reported, his voice low and controlled. The beat-up car pulled to a stop. John saw the figure in the center of the alley, instantly recognizing the eyes, then the uniform. The sight triggered an immediate, irrational fury, the need to re-establish the dominance he felt he'd earned 2 days prior. Well, well. Look who crawled back. The soldier boy, John sneered, stepping out of the car. Trying to play dress-up? Couldn't handle getting your nose bloodied in the real world, so you run back to your playgroup? Daniyal remained calm, his parade voice cutting through the silence. Razor John, you are trespassing on private property, and I know you are in possession of stolen goods. You have one chance to surrender peacefully. He thinks he's an action movie. Surrender to what, nerd? One of the gang members laughed. I don't know who you think you are, but you don't tell me what to do. Not in my town. You ran once. Now you came back wearing a target. I'll teach your uniform the same lesson I taught your face. John ripped a tire iron from his trunk. He wasn't planning another petty beating. He was intending serious harm. This was the moment Daniyal had anticipated, the felony escalation. Target is armed and initiating felony assault. Go, 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 Daniyal whispered into the radio. As the tire iron whirred, John charged. Daniyal stepped back, dodging the blow with a practiced minimal movement. He did not fight back with offense. He fought with defense, discipline, and physics. Every parry, every step was a perfect, calibrated response learned through years of relentless training. He didn't throw a punch. He deflected and controlled the angle, using John's own momentum against him. With a sharp twist, the tire iron clattered away uselessly. Before John could regain his balance, the alley exploded with light. Sirens wailed, police lights illuminated the scene, and car doors slammed. Police! Drop to the ground, now! Detective Miller's voice boomed. John, confused and disoriented, tried to run, but his two friends were already boxed in by the backup team. John's eyes locked onto Daniyal's. The face of the soldier was impassive, calm, and utterly victorious. You violated the peace, John, Daniyal stated quietly, finally allowing himself the last word. The army takes care of its own. John and his crew were apprehended and taken into custody. The stolen electronics were found, providing the necessary felony charges to ensure John's permanent removal from the street. The victory was quiet, achieved not with street violence, but with strategy, discipline, and the cold logic of the law. The reports were filed: assault, theft, possession of stolen goods, and assault on an official. Daniyal changed out of his uniform one last time, the weight of the code lifted, replaced by the lighter burden of a clean conscience. He bought a new cake, red velvet this time, and a fresh set of gifts. He drove the final 3 blocks to his home. His wife, Sarah, was waiting. She didn't look at his healing bruises. She saw the exhaustion, but also the deep, profound peace in his eyes. She understood, without words, that he had faced the chaos and won, not for revenge, but for the restoration of order. You look tired. Staff Sergeant, she said, her voice soft and loving. Daniyal smiled, the effort causing his voice to break slightly with emotion. Just Daniyal, honey. Just Daniyal. Where are the kids? Maya and Lucas burst into the hallway. They didn't see the bruised jaw. They saw their father, their hero, holding a cake and laughing. Daddy! You came back, Maya cried. What's in the boxes? Lucas asked. It's everything, Daniyal replied, laughing slightly. It's time to celebrate. In the dining room, under the warm, bright lights of home, the cake was cut. The gifts were opened. The promise, so brutally broken days before, was finally kept. The line of duty, Daniyal realized, wasn't just the boundary between the front lines and safety. It was the line he drew in the sand between chaos and the protection of the innocent. And on this day, in this quiet, ordinary American town, the code had prevailed. Staff Sergeant Daniyal Vance was finally on leave. And this time, he was truly home.